They only ever called him the animal, a word that stripped away everything else. His name, his history, his people, his pride, an insult turned into identity, until there was nothing left but the monster the universe wanted him to be. But before Boris the animal was the nightmare whispered about in Men in Black files, he was something else, something no one remembers, long before Earth's humans had ever heard of him. Boris belonged to a proud warrior species, fierce and wild, a people who walked between shadows and stars. Their world was not gentle. It was a place of storms and deserts, where survival was cruel and unforgiving. Yet his people thrived, their claws sharp, their instincts sharper. They did not build empires of steel and glass like humans did. They lived in raw harmony with the universe, predators. Yes, but bound to their planet with honor. Boris was born under a blood-red moon, his mother clutching him close as thunder split the sky. His father, a chieftain, looked down at him and declared, "This one will not bow." From the start, Boris was different. His body carried strange markings, his spine adorned with ridges sharper than his kin's, his voice deeper, carrying an edge that made the elders wary. Children avoided him. Adults studied him with unease. He grew alone, learning early that fear creates distance. That loneliness hardened into strength. He fought when others avoided conflict, survived when others fell, and rose faster than even his father imagined. But with power came arrogance, and with arrogance came the seed of his downfall. The first encounter with humans. The day humans landed on his world was the day Boris's fate began to rot. They came in gleaming ships, bringing light that blinded, words that promised peace, and weapons that promised otherwise. The humans were not explorers. They were conquerors draped in diplomacy. Boris was still young when he saw them strip the land, taking what they wanted. His people resisted, fierce as they were. But humans had something Boris's kind did not: patience and cunning. They studied their enemies, learned their weaknesses, then struck when the skies were dark and storms hid their movements. One by one, Boris's kin fell. Villages burned. Forests turned to ash. His father, the proud chieftain, was struck down before Boris's eyes by a human weapon that spat fire and thunder. His mother was dragged into captivity, her screams echoing into the night, until silence swallowed them whole. That was the moment something inside Boris snapped. If the universe calls me an animal, he thought, then an animal I will become. Boris did not fight for survival anymore. He fought for vengeance. He hunted humans across the stars, tearing apart their outposts, clawing through their defenses. He became the terror they whispered about in secret reports, a shadow that killed without mercy. And yet with every victory he lost something else. His people dwindled to nothing, their culture erased, their language forgotten. Soon Boris was not a warrior of a proud species. He was the last, alone. Loneliness became rage, and rage became the only fire keeping him alive. But the humans had their protectors. They had Men in Black. Agent K was the one who ended Boris's war. Their first encounter was not a duel, it was a storm. Boris had cornered a human outpost, ready to rip it apart when K arrived with calm precision. Unlike others, K did not fear Boris. He did not tremble, did not hesitate. His gun was steady, his eyes cold, his words sharp as knives. "It's over, Boris." Boris roared, lunged, and in that clash, destiny sealed itself. K did not just defeat Boris, he destroyed him. With a single shot, he blasted off Boris's arm, severing not just flesh, but pride. Boris collapsed, screaming, staring at the stump where his arm had been. For his species, limbs were more than tools. They were identity, strength, honor. To lose one was to lose half of oneself. Humiliated, writhing in agony, Boris was dragged away in chains. Humans bound him, caged him, and locked him away where no star could be seen. And so began his decades of silence. They sent him to Lunar Max, the most secure prison in the galaxy, built on the barren surface of Earth's moon, a fortress of steel and concrete, where light never reached the heart, and prisoners vanished into shadows. For 20 years, Boris lived in chains. Every day he woke to the same walls, the same emptiness, the same humiliating reminder of his missing arm. The guards mocked him, calling him the animal. The other prisoners avoided him, for his fury was endless, his hatred untamed. He thought of escape every moment. He carved plans into the walls with his claws, whispered to the darkness, swore vengeance against K. But the universe is cruel. Time eats away even at rage. Boris grew older, his body weaker, his wounds never healing. Yet his mind remained sharp, his hatred sharper still. If freedom would not come to him, then he would take it. And then one day, fate answered. The whisper of freedom. It began with a girl. Not a warrior, not a soldier, not even a proper threat. Just a human disguised in charm and seduction. She came to Lunar Max with a smile and a plan. A woman who believed Boris deserved to be free. Her reasons were her own, perhaps pity, perhaps love twisted by obsession. But to Boris, she was the crack in the wall he had been waiting for. She smuggled in tools, whispered secrets, plotted his escape. When the moment came, Boris struck with the fury of decades suppressed. He tore through guards, ripped metal apart with claws that had never dulled, and bathed Lunar Max in chaos. His roar echoed through the prison halls, a sound of freedom and vengeance intertwined. At last he stood under open sky again, the earth below him, the stars above. For a moment he almost felt alive. But vengeance does not wait. Freedom was not enough. He wanted Kay. Boris knew the truth. He had lost once because Kay had taken something from him. His arm, his pride, his chance at survival. He would not face Kay again as he was. He would change the past. Through whispers in the criminal underworld, Boris learned of a device, an arcane piece of alien technology that could pierce time itself. Dangerous, unstable, forbidden. The kind of weapon only a desperate soul would seek. Boris was desperate. He would go back to 1969, the year Kay destroyed him. He would kill the agent before that shot was ever fired. He would rewrite history, reclaim victory, and restore his species' fate. The universe had called him an animal, but he would prove them wrong. He would be eternal. And so Boris's legend was reborn. He was no longer just a prisoner, no longer just a scarred warrior. He was a storm tearing through time itself, a nightmare refusing to die. But deep inside, beneath the fury, there still lived that boy who had once watched his parents fall, who had once longed for belonging, who had once wondered if he would ever be more than the monster everyone believed him to be. He buried that boy in rage, and thus the animal marched into destiny. The time jump device burned against his chest as he hurled himself toward Earth. Reality split open, stars folding, screams echoing backward until the world rewrote itself. When Boris opened his eyes, the air was thick with gasoline and cigarette smoke. July 69, and there stood a younger Agent K, the man who had once blasted off his arm. But this time Boris struck first. He fought with all the fury of decades imprisoned, and for the first time K faltered. No arm was lost, no humiliation endured. History was rewritten. Boris smiled. Now it belongs to me. But the victory poisoned itself. With K defeated, Earth's shield was never deployed. The Boglodites, Boris's people, invaded freely. Yet they weren't the proud warriors he remembered. They were savage, devouring planets without honor, little more than beasts. Even in triumph, Boris remained alone, but destiny refuses to die. From the altered present came Agent J, stubborn enough to chase Boris through time. Unlike K, J fought with heart, reckless, bold, unyielding. He joined the younger K, and together they stood against Boris. Two men, one animal, and the universe watching. The final clash erupted beneath the roar of Apollo 11's engines. Flames and steel surrounded them as mankind prepared to leap into space, unaware that the future itself was being fought for in the shadows. Boris tore through metal, his claws dripping with vengeance. J moved with fire, K with calm precision. Together they struck like hammer and chisel, wearing him down blow by blow. Still, Boris fought like a storm. Decades of rage, the ghosts of his people, the humiliation of chains. Everything poured into each strike. For a moment, victory felt close. But fate cannot be denied. K raised his weapon. The same words, the same silence. The shot fired. Boris roared one last time before the steel of the launch pad swallowed him. The rocket climbed, carrying humanity upward while he fell into nothingness. The world celebrated Apollo, yet no one remembered the war fought in its shadow. No one remembered the child Boris had once been, the boy who lost his parents, his people, his name. The universe remembered only the animal, and perhaps that was the true tragedy. J and K stood together, saying nothing as smoke drifted over Boris's still body. The world moved on. The stars above remained indifferent. But somewhere in the silence between them lingered the truth: monsters are not born, they are made. Boris had tried to conquer destiny. He failed. And in failing, he became what the universe demanded: just an animal. But his roar in some forgotten corner of space still echoes, not as a threat, not as a warning, but as the memory of a boy who once wanted to be more